So to make your macrame feather, you're gonna get your kit. Inside your kit are gonna be a few different things. You'll have a spray bottle in there that has some liquid starch in it, a comb, a keychain bobble thing, and then a few different sizes of string. So you should have, let's find it, you should have one 12-inch piece of string. It's all a mess, sorry. So the 12 inch is definitely the longest piece. There's your 12-inch. You should have six 6-inch pieces. I think that's 6. 4 4-inch pieces. And 4 3-inch pieces. So we're gonna set those aside. So with that 12-inch piece, that's gonna be at the base of your feather. And so we're gonna want to sort of fold it in half. And if you're gonna use the keychain, what I like to do is just sort of take the top part of the loop, thread it through that keychain bottom, maybe, and then take the tails of your string, put it through the loop, and then pull. And that just kind of makes a knot on that bottom of the keychain. All right, and then you also, in your kit, may have had like a wooden bead. I didn't have any more. I ran out of them, but if you did get a wooden bead, you can put that wooden bead on before or after you loop it on your keychain. So the next part is not super difficult, but it's kind of, pay attention basically. You're gonna take 2 of your 6-inch pieces and you're gonna loop them on either side of your main piece. All right, so one loop you're gonna put over the top of that main piece. The other loop you're gonna put underneath the main piece, like that. So they're looped and stacked on top of one another. So let's move that over right there. Maybe you can see a little bit better. Okay, then you're gonna take the tails and thread them through this loop on this side, and the tails on this side get threaded through this loop on this side. And then you're going to pull them together at the same time. Now I kind of skipped a step. You should probably put a piece of tape on that keychain bobble so it doesn't move around quite so much. So we'll pretend we did that first, okay? So once you have pulled those pieces tight, if you hold onto the bottom and just sort of push up towards the top of that keychain, and then pull tight again. So that's a motion you're gonna do a lot of. Is pulling tight and then pushing up towards the top. And you'll take 2 other of your 6-inch pieces and you're gonna do the same thing. One on top and one below. You'll take those tail pieces and go through this loop, and then you'll take these tail pieces and go through this loop, and then you'll pull. And these are going to be these are what's going to make your feather shape. Now if you look closely, you can see that I didn't do them the same way. So I've got a loop here and a loop there. That doesn't bother me. I'm fine with that. But if you're particular and you want to make sure that it all looks the same, make sure that you're layering your loops the same way. I'm not that particular about it, so I'm just gonna continue to do it however I wanna do it basically. But same thing, we've got a loop down underneath our main piece. And we're gonna put this loop above it. Grab those tail pieces, put them through this loop. Grab these tail pieces, put them through this loop, and pull. And then slide up. And you're gonna keep doing that with all of your pieces. So we're gonna move on to our 4-inch pieces now, but same thing. This one's gonna go underneath. This one's gonna go above. We're gonna find our tail pieces. We're going to stick them through the other loops. Now the smaller your pieces of string are, it's a little bit trickier to get them through, but it's not impossible. So we'll do that. And so we're just gonna keep doing this with our pieces. We've got another set of 4-inch pieces. And we'll do this. And once you get the hang of it, it goes pretty quickly. But like I said, as you get to your smaller pieces, it's a little bit trickier to get your tails through the loop, but it's not impossible. So let's see. Let's go this way. And pull. And so I'm going to keep doing that until I've gotten through all my pieces. So just got one more set of loops to do, and then I'll be done with that part. We can move on to the next part. And if the ends of your strings get a little bit frayed as you're doing this, not a big deal. We're gonna fray them anyways, so don't worry about it. So I like to give them all a nice tug once I've gotten them all on there, and then I push them up towards the top again so they're all nice and tight. And then I'm gonna take the bottom of my strings and I'm gonna make a knot so that these don't all come sliding down. Maybe. I might not have quite as long a string as I need. Yeah, there we go. And I'm just gonna knot the bottom, like I said, so that these pieces don't slide. You don't necessarily have to knot the bottom, I just want them to stay. And actually knotting the bottom might make your feather look kind of strange in the center, but good. Like I said, that doesn't bother me too much. Okay, so the next part is gonna be to brush out these strings. Now, the directions that I saw so that you can use a cat brush. I didn't want to buy a bunch of cat brushes, so I found these little cheap combs, and they work just fine. So you can start out doing this a couple different ways. You can actually sit there and sort of hand unpick these strings. I found that if you take the thickest part of the comb, the very top piece of the comb, and just sort of stick it into the string and pull, it does a pretty good job of unraveling it for you. But whichever way you want to do it. So you're gonna unravel these until they're just fringe, basically, because this fringe is going to be what makes your feather look feathery. And just be careful that when you're unpicking it, that you're not pulling all of the string on the other side. So maybe put your hand down on that piece and just sort of hold it in place while you unravel these bits of string. So I'm going to continue to unravel these, which you don't really need to see me do, so I will unravel and be back. So as you can see, I've brushed out all of the fringe and I'm left with this. And so to make it sort of feathered shape, you're going to cut it. So feathers is normally bigger along the top and they taper downward. So you can just take a pair of good scissors which these are not really that great of scissors, but hopefully they'll do. And you're just going to cut the overall shape that you want. Like I said, these are not great scissors, so I'm having a hard time cutting, but we'll see. And I even brushed out where I have my knot, the pieces of string that were left from the knot, because I can take my liquid starch and I can just kind of push these together so it continues that feather shape for me. And so that's what's in your bottle, is some liquid starch. And you'll see on the bottle that I have made a little line with a Sharpie. You're going to want to fill that bottle up with water to that Sharpie line, because what you have in your bottle right now is basically just glue, and it's going to be too thick to spray, and it's also going to be too thick to really do what we want it to do. If you use it as is, you're going to have kind of a gloopy mess. That starch is meant to like dip things in, so I guess you could put it into like another container and dip your feather in there if you want to, but I found it's easier just to add a little bit of water to thin it out and spray. So once I have the shape that I want, pretty close to the shape that I want, I'll spray some starch on this. All right, that's good enough, I guess. So we're gonna pretend there's starch in here, starch and water. And you're gonna spray, spray, spray. And you're gonna get it pretty damp. You don't want it to be soaking wet. You don't want it to drip, but you want it to be pretty damp. So you're gonna spray, spray, spray. Flip it over and sort of arrange it how you want it to be. Fix any holes there might be in there. Spread out any clumps. Spray, 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 spray. And once it's pretty well dampened, you're just gonna leave it to dry. You let it sit and dry. You can come back to it in a few hours and see if it's where you want it to be, or if it's still too floppy. If it's too floppy, you can add more starch to it. Just spray more starch all over it. And then there you have it. Your little keychain. Put it on your backpack, put it in your locker, put it on your mom's keys. Nice and simple. And then I made a larger one to make sure it actually worked. And you can put that like on your wall. So there you have it. It's a macrame feather. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.